Now, and good morning. What promises kept? This is Jay Cleveland Payne bringing you things you might not have heard. The promise kept is the fact that we're doing 2 days in a row, and that's my phone telling me we're live. That's how it works here. Thank you for being here for the second day of this, what's going to be a great week, Tuesday, November 1st, 2022, the first day of November, the 11th month, which means we are one third away of the final quarter, almost getting to the full 365 of 2022. Thank you for being a part of the ride, for all the things we've done this year, launching this thing, the changes we've made, and the upgrades that we've done because of you. If you want more details on how to keep doing those upgrades and keep reaching out to us, check out our main website. This is a conversationproject.com for all the details on things we're doing, things we've done, things we want to do, and how you can help us with those as well, including, as you see up the top, reaching out to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you are upgrading the stories so we know what stories to talk about. 8 stories vetted from the past 30 hours or so that were conversational, the most conversational. That was culled from a list of, but these are 8 stories that we think make the best narrative on this November 1st day. Let's get into them stories right now. Starting off with Taylor Swift, who makes history as first artist with entire top 10 on Billboard Hot 100. She's got them all. And what's at top right now? The new song Anti-Hero. Number 1, it is. So there's not much to say about. There's not much to say about a lot of these stories. A lot of these stories are really just headline intensive. But Taylor Swift is proving that she's pretty good at what she's doing. I may not be the biggest fan of Taylor Swift. I may think all her old songs are juvenile they were. She was a juvenile. I may think her new songs are kind of juvenile because they seem to be to me. But it's literally not up to me because you guys put her at the top 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, with, and especially with the new song Anti-Hero on the new going forward. Now there are some issues with the video, and there's a lot of goings on with the way the collective we are these days. Maybe we're a bit more sensitive, maybe we just don't think as well. But Taylor Swift hitting history with this one, and she deserves it, all of it. No whining, no drops from me, because she deserves it. Let's go to another issue for a young person. This is the stars of the CW series Stargirl, which I'm a big fan of. It's going to end after the season 3. Now, there's a lot to unpack in this one, other than the fact that the CW has been basically bought out by Nexstar, I believe, and they're going to turn it into a whole nother thing. The CW was basically pushing itself as a young hip channel with a lot of things based on young hip type shows, and the Arrowverse, which are the DC superhero shows that were not connected to the DC expanded universe, although they technically are. They do multiverse stuff where they all do crossovers. Those shows have been slowly declining and slowly dying for basic reasons. Last season they canceled Batgirl, one of the long running shows there. This season, The Flash gets a finale season. Arrow ended a couple seasons ago with the big finale of the star of that one going away. And Superman and Lois, which spun off after the Supergirl show was done, but after a very big Crisis on Infinite Earth for the new Superman and Lois Lane, still going for another season. Still taping right now. We'll see how that goes. But Stargirl will end at season 3. We'll see how it goes. Stargirl wasn't really an Arrowverse show for all practical purposes. It literally was an alternate universe where all the other heroes don't exist, and there's a small group of similar heroes that kind of live out in their own kind of life. It's not the worst show. I mean, I'm a big fan of Nancy Drew, by the way, so there you go for that one. And it's not Riverdale, which is really freaky weird, but it's a show that is based on the tropes of superheroes and kids and kind of young things. When people found out that CW actually skewed for people 55 and older, not so much 25 and younger, it got a little bit of weird. And so with that, those younger skewing shows are going away, and some other shows that will be replacing them will be based for less serial drama, if you will. We're going to see what happens as seasons coming through with the CW. But Stargirl, one of my favorites. Really was kind of cheese. It took so long to get the season 3 on the air. It's going away after the season. Hopefully they'll get a chance to wrap it up in a pretty nice little bow with this current storyline on Frenemies. Sharon Stone says ex-boyfriend dumped her because she didn't get Botox. If you're listening on the podcast, this is where you're going to hear me say pause for effect. Go have to explain this stuff. If you're watching the video, it's going to be pretty obvious, except I'm making it over obvious. So I'm going to pause for effect. Pause for effect. Take a sip of coffee, hydration break. Breathe in, breathe out, pause once more for effect, and go. Who is dumping Sharon Stone because she's not getting Botox? This reminds me back in the 90s when Tony Braxton was singing Another Sad Love Song and Unbreak My Heart. And you're thinking, who exactly is breaking Tony Braxton's heart? What is going on with people that they're, dumping Tony Braxton? This doesn't make any sense. How, obviously, she's a singer and she put her emotions into stuff. So no one was necessarily unbreaking her heart. But this is another thing here. Sharon Stone, very accomplished, very beautiful, a bit older. And for some reason, the ex-boyfriend was like, yeah, you got to get your eyes done. I'm not sure what's going on. In fact, less people should get their eyes done. You can see how it really, really affects some of those really, really older folks in these days. My wife is a good fan of Frankie and Grace, and I just look at them and say, wow, they've had way too much work done, and just kind of wander out of the room. Sharon Stone looks fine. She looks fine. She's good. Ex-boyfriend, he's well, this is a PG rated show, so we're gonna move on for that one. Wheat prices jumped by nearly 6% after Russia withdraws from vital Ukrainian export deal. We talked about this yesterday. We talked about this before, that Russia is pulling out of the deal that allows Ukraine to export some wheat because the world kind of needs its wheat. It's a weird sort of tactic for a warring country to let them trade some stuff, but be honest, Russia kind of needs some of Ukrainian wheat. The world needs the wheat. Many African countries use wheat, and of course, European countries use wheat. So, with the deal being done as of, I believe, Friday or so, just basically within a few days, wheat prices grown in the world of up 6% because other people have to kind of keep up what's going on. Wheat is a fairly easy thing to grow, me saying this not being a farmer, but wheat is an abundant thing. So there's a lot of wheat out there in the market. And so the 6% jump is not as bad as people were fearing. However, it's early. And because of, we'll see in Ukraine, they eat a lot of their own wheat as well. If they're not exporting for money and saving what they have going on, if they're just stockpiling it, that's going to go bad. They have a double whammy going forward. They'll be able to eat if supply lines work well, and they'll be able to pay for things if they can get things out and do the trade. Russia, being an actual enemy and the real bad guy, are showing what bad guys do when they get desperate. They cut everything off and try to smoke people out, essentially. We shall see. Jeff Goldblum to play the Wizard of Oz. We teased this one yesterday, and it's quick and easy and simple. There's an upcoming movie based on the musical and the book. I guess the musical came first, Wicked, and Jeff Goldblum will play the role of the wizard, or the guy who is the wizard in Wicked. And this is something that I think I want to see. I saw the musical Wicked a few years ago, and it wasn't horrible. It was a little goofy and kind of going on, but I think I would probably enjoy the story better in a theatrical kind of setting where, don't have cheesy props and little dogs and things picking at lines. And they're going to go all out with the CGI for this one. So I'm a big fan of, dispelling the belief and just believing that, the big purple dinosaur actually is sitting there breathing down on people's necks. Because, I'm like that. Jeff Goldblum will step into the role of the Wizard of Oz, coming soon. Let's go to this one, which is a bit of a conundrum, if you will. Actually, it's not that much of a conundrum. It's just why did it take so long? We are finding out more about the Cuomos, both Andrew and Chris, in their post careers, one as a post governor, the other as a post newscaster, although he's back as a newscaster and didn't really leave that job, did some independent stuff. Chris Cuomo, the younger, is demanding a new time slot at NewsNation as his ratings are horrible. Tank, as the headline says. He is taking the 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time slot. That's essentially the opening slot for prime time. And he used to be in the 9 o'clock slot, the slot that went against Rachel Maddow, now Maddow and the other lady, and of course Sean Hannity. He was getting trashed in that time slot, but it was a different level of play action. The time slot is currently held by Dan Abrams, which we believe had a role in getting him into the NewsNation family. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But Chris Cuomo seems to want his time slot. Seems to be going to his friend and trying to swap him out, stab him in the back. Of course, the time slot very good for Mr. Abrams, who does have a lot of TV jobs as well. He has a full-time 5-day-a-week job on SiriusXM Radio for an hour. He does the show on NewsNation, and on Friday nights he drives around in police cars with his live PD show. So I don't know. Maybe he can deal with going to bed a little earlier. Maybe he likes that. But the issue right now is Chris Cuomo is not happy with his ratings for his time slot, although DVRs would make things up, but apparently it's not. He's apparently clamoring to get the 9 o'clock slot on NewsNation. NewsNation, which was touted as one thing and turned into something else, now something else. Not exactly hitting the meters for anyone in the news arena, especially as it compares ratings-wise to things like Newsmax and OAN, which of course technically doesn't exist anymore. And finally, not quite finally, there's a couple more. India bridge collapse, toll passes 134 as police file homicide charges. This actually happened in the same general time that we talked about the crushing deaths in Seoul, Korea during the Christmas celebration, or I'm sorry, the Halloween celebration. And so this happened the same time, and we just, I don't know what happened. We didn't actually get something posted in time, and so it didn't gather any other going-ons. This thing took a little while for people to kind of see what happened. There is video out there of people at the end of the bridge shaking it, doing some damage, and then the bridge collapsing. That is why we're looking at homicide charges being filed for this bridge. The bridge is a suspension bridge, a walking bridge that was just reopened about a week ago after some fixes to it, that they had some issues with it. And there were plenty of people in a celebration walking across the bridge when it collapsed over the water. Many of the people that died in this incident, young people and children, because it's just a fun thing to walk around the bridge. We will see how this one plays out, especially as they have charges brought up against them. And speaking of kids and fixing things, Cartoon Network apologizes for the 1999 Scooby-Doo Blair Witch parody. Go to the website, go to the link in this one, and go deeper into this one. Trying to jump in on the bandwagon at times, as Scooby-Doo, back in that time, didn't have the super jazzed up retro just sort of love people are giving to it now. Well, people are, all of a sudden deciding that Velma should be gay, and that Fred and Daphne need to be dating and things like that, where all those things are just sort of there. In the 60s, it was just a bunch of crazy kids in the van. Now there's all these other things. There was an attempt to try to be a bit cool and do a Blair Witch parody with Scooby-Doo. Cartoon Network is saying that was a bad idea. They can say that now because that was, 30 years ago, but they're saying now, bad idea. Well, 20 years ago. Our teaser story for the day is simple, and we'll probably not talk about it because I'm sure other things will pop in there. But we will see if we prepare for Powerball. Powerball soars to $1.2 billion after no winners found on Monday. No winners at all on the Monday poll for yesterday. So you still have a couple days to get your tickets right. While we're talking about this, it's pretty simple. You just vote it up in whatever you see coming in the feeds. On the feeds for Facebook, it's facebook.com/This Is a Conversation Project. On Twitter, th_conversation after twitter.com. And you can vote up any story we have. Every 50 minutes, we post a news story on our feeds, and you tell us what we're talking about by engaging with it. Like them, love them, hate them, share them. The more engagement that a story gets, higher score it gets every single morning. For today, and all the way through the end of the week on Friday, we give you top 8 stories of 30 hours worth of, or 8 of the top stories of the 30 hours worth of time from midnight to 5 a.m. We take 15 from the split. About 30 to 35 stories are posted. We take a split at 30 to 15, and we pull 8 from there. So that's where these 8 stories came from. If you're thinking we're not doing the right stories, if there's something out there that we're missing, maybe it's something you actually engaged with that didn't get in range, or something that was in range that I chose another one over, reply to it, comment, let me know what stories we should be yakking up, and then I will post more stuff in there along those lines to see if it makes it up for it in the thing. One of those things, weird things about these stories, is sometimes it takes a while for them to catch up. Sometimes we'll post a headline that pops up early in some newspaper, and then it will take 2 or 3 days for the story to really catch up on a viral nature, if you will. So it takes a while for people to really get into stuff, and we'll have already posted it by the time people are talking about it. That happens sometimes, and that's just one of the explanations we have. on those things. We have no real explanation other than we got to make some money to keep things going. So I want you to stop by. This is a conversationproject.com/Robinhood and get your investing starting now. Believe it or not, there are people who have not heard of this app and not using this app or other apps for online investing. You don't have to go big on this. This is maybe just your little play money just so you can see what's going on. But a great way to understand how the markets actually work is to get in the markets. You don't have to invest thousands of dollars. I know the screenshot has, investing $3,500 in that one. You don't have to put that much money in. In fact, the cool thing about Robinhood, fractional investments. You can buy Amazon, which is 180 or something at the moment, and just buy $10 worth and have a little itty bitty piece of Amazon. But guess what? It's worth it. It makes money. It goes big time. I found out yesterday I made a big, huge dividend from a stock that I didn't have a full share in, but they pay monster shares for the dividends. And I found out I made a big chunk of money on that stock. Not necessarily, going to dinner money, but it was a lot more money than pennies than I expected because I only had about 40% of a share in that stock. Learn about the investments. Take your time. You can use your investment strategies from anybody want to, but you can trade stocks, you can trade bonds, you can trade crypto, you can use crypto. You send crypto to people now if you're still doing that. I was just not, but I'm not one of those folks. And remember, money can be lost in the markets in these investments. However, it costs you nothing, and they'll give you a free stock just for joining. This is a conversationproject.com/Robinhood. This is conversationproject.com/Robinhood. It's an affiliate link, so we'll get a little bit back from that. They also have they're basically spending double the amount of people who are putting money into savings accounts and investment accounts so that they can hold your money, because that's what these do. So they want to hold your money too. Check it out. They're doing a lot of stuff. Like we said, you could lose money in a deal, but they're doing a lot of great stuff at Robinhood still. So check it out. But just don't buy crypto. This is a conversationproject.com is our main website. Why do we repeat this over and over again? Because we need you to stop by there. It saves me from saying so much stuff, and it saves a lot of time in this broadcast. Keeps it down to under 20 minutes without me repeating things. So stop by the website. There are links to our YouTube page, links to our TikTok account, links to our other things, links to our feeds, if you will, and lots of shots of what we're doing, what we're not doing, and what we want to launch going forward. Also, links to our partnerships page and our sponsorship page, things you can help us do to keep things alive. Check it out at the website. This is conversationproject.com. I'll put partnerships up there while I go to the next story. We extended a little bit to make this a morning show-ish feel, so some things you might not have heard for today, including some birthdays for today. Starting off with Tim Cook, the Apple Man, at 62 years old on the day. Twins on the day, Toni Collette and Jenny McCarthy. They probably didn't know it, but they are both turning 50 years old today. Toni Collette is an actress who everybody just thinks is awesome in what she does, so we agree here. And Jenny McCarthy is also an actress, a model, a host, currently hosting The Masked Singer, married to one of the Wahlbergs, I forget which one, and of course basically made herself on the scene from Singled Out, being the chick that smiled really goofily and talked about farts on TV. She's not that girl anymore, but she's making it work. 50 years old on Jenny McCarthy today. Today is Vinegar Day. We're going to celebrate the spice, the condiment, the thing that is vinegar. Vinegar, when I picked this, it was just sort of like, you know what, let's pick something odd. Let's do Vinegar Day and just kind of roll with it. After I picked this and put this in the queue and had it set that last night, I was reading some stuff late on my phone and actually rolled into a site that claimed, that basically sung the praises, lots of praises for vinegar as it's a condiment, as it's way to enhance flavors. And of course, you can clean stuff with it. It's Vinegar Day. So celebrate yourself, and it's health benefits. Take a shot of apple cider vinegar every morning, and it's supposed to help out with blood sugar and other things. I'm not Dr. Oz, so I can't claim that it's true, but you can try it. One more thing you might not have heard out the way at the door. Are you happy with your height? A survey reveals 7% of us wish we were a bit taller, like me and CeeLo. 43% of those polled would like to be 2 or more inches taller. 27% would like to be an inch taller. 26% are happy with their height, while 4% want to be an inch shorter. I also wish I were a baller. I do have a girl I can, I can call her because my wife's in the other room. So all that stuff doesn't fill in for the song. But, I do, wish I were taller than 5'6". And it's something that I can't do at this point because I'm 50 and that doesn't happen. I guess I could break my bones and get 3 inches. That sounds a bit excessive and sounds like it hurts a lot. Today is Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. As I speak these words into this computer, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast or this video cast, however you are taking in on the day. Of course, if you're not watching it live, and we thank everybody who popped in live for the response, you can get it on the replay for forever, as long as YouTube is alive, and as a podcast version, audio only in about 10 minutes after you hit the stop button. Thank you for being a part of the show and doing what you can to keep us going. Stop by our partnerships page and see if there's a way that we can partner up. If you enjoy the content, if we're providing for you great content and great value, let's see if you can help us out a little bit along the way, and we help you out as well. In the meantime, stay hydrated, stay limber, and stay on task. Great things are coming as we begin November. Excited? Pumpkin spice, I guess, is still a thing, but it's we're getting ready for Thanksgiving and, of course, Christmas and, of course, the new brand year. So let's get ready, get jazzed up for the wrap up for 2022. If 2022 wasn't so great, let's get jazzed up for 2023 to be a little bit better. And we're going to see you tomorrow. Today's not great. Let's hope tomorrow will be. We'll see you then.